Hello and welcome to the F1 News Zone, the show we round up all the biggest stories in Formula 1 right now. F1 is still in its off-season, but pre-season testing concluded last week, and it's less than a week until lights out in Melbourne. But which other stories have caught our attention this week? This week, UK media has been prevented from reporting on the Hornergate updates. Dr. Helmut Marko has said that Lando Norris is the favourite for the 2025 title, and Toto Wolff has cooled talks of a potential V10 revival in the near future. We take a look at all that and a whole lot more in today's show. Let's dive in. So I had heard rumours about an update in the Christian Horner scandal, or as some people like to call it, Hornergate. And the fact that British media here in the UK can't comment on it. Well, I'm a little different to that. I'm here on YouTube, so I think we can get around this just fine. So this is something that you won't hear in the mainstream media, so buckle up. We're in for a bumpy ride because this whole scandal, if you've not followed it before, has been rumbling on for about a year now, actually longer than a year. And yeah, despite Horner being found innocent in an internal investigation by Red Bull Racing, a lot of people don't believe that is the case. Whether that's incorrect or not going to comment on that, but I'm just saying that is what a lot of people feel like. Indeed, he was, of course, booed at F1 75 Live in London not too long ago by the British public, so not exactly the most popular figure, it is fair to say, and more than fair to say that he is a very divisive figure as well. So let's have a look at what's been said here, guys. Full article on the f1chronicle.com as always. The British media has been barred from reporting fresh twists in Christian Horner's Red Bull saga as legal restrictions tighten. The 2024 storm, I don't think I can say that word actually on Microsoft unfortunately, which dogged Horner's season, faded after an internal probe cleared him of misconduct with a female employee. Now Dutch outlet De Telegraph reveals she's taken her case to the UK Employment Tribunal set for January 2026. Yes, unfortunately, justice in the United Kingdom moves slowly. Various sources in the paddock confirmed to De Telegraph that the employee's case against Horner and Red Bull will come before the employment court in January 2026 in England, journalist Eric Van Haren reported. Her move follows a rejection of private settlement bids from Horner and Red Bull. Horner's since won a reporting restriction order silencing UK media on the latest developments. This will remain the case until the restrictions are lifted, Van Haren added. Various media outlets are opposing the ban. The drama flares anew in Drive to Survive's latest season with Horner unfiltered. It was obvious that the end goal was for me to leave Red Bull, he said. The higher you rise, the sharper the knives. I've reached the top of my game and I never thought in a million years I'd have a challenge like this in my career. He took a swipe at McLaren's Zach Brown, branding him as a not very nice person amid the feud. So yeah, I mean, listen, there is two schools of thoughts when it comes to this. So basically a gag order in this case basically means that the media cannot report on this. It is not allowed for British outlets to do it. De Telegraph as well, being Dutch, they can. Any kind of international media can do that. It's just a UK restriction. So we can actually just have a little chat about that just to make it absolutely abundantly clear for legal reasons that we can talk about this and we have a right to. So that is the difference. But yeah, there is two schools of thought to this. There is some people who will defend Horner and say that he's been wrongly accused and the fact that he, has been made innocent of it. It's absolutely fine. He didn't do any wrong. There are the other people who believe that the WhatsApp messages and the G drive that was leaked was legitimate, and these complaints by this female employee are legitimate, and she was basically given hush money to stop taking this any further, and she was sacked not too long after that. There is two schools of thought to this, and we don't know the full truth at the end of the day. We don't know what's been discussed behind closed doors, and I'm not going to comment on it any further. But what I will say is, and I said this at the time, I don't know if I said it publicly or privately or whatever to some maze, but if those, and the people who've seen these messages, and I've been through them, I went through them all at the time, every single one of them, I went through the lot, right? You'd access them. If those are fake, if those are not real, they are one of the best hoaxes I have ever seen. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter, because I don't want to get us in trouble, basically. Red Bull and Christian Horner understandably are very, very protective over this. So I just want to make that all abundantly clear. So yeah, by all means, guys, if you want to comment on it further, head to the comments. I probably won't be able to reply, but I will read them. So I'm interested to hear what you think about all this. Do you think this lady is going to win her case next year when it goes to the courts here in the UK? Your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, is it right? Is Horner innocent in all this, or is he just been found innocent by the employers that actually employ him? Obviously, you can see what I'm getting at here. There's a few different conspiracy theories around this all, but of course, though, it was an independent barrister that did conduct that investigation. So again, two sides to every story here, and I'm not gonna go about it anymore. If you want to become an F1 legend, though, head over to Patreon. I would really appreciate it. At Substack as well, we're the biggest F1 newsletter in the world on there. So Toto Wolff has weighed in on the whole bring back the V10s debate. Now, I actually did a video a little bit ago saying that it was possible that Formula 1 could return to the V10 engines if a few things did happen in terms of renewable fuels and stuff like that, and it would be a very popular move for Formula 1 to do this. Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the president of the FIA, for once, me and him actually agreed and thought this would be a good thing if it was possible and that it could happen, but it was something that was never going to happen anytime soon. You know, mid-2030s is the most likely time when I will be like 40. Wow, that's going to fly by, I'm sure. But since then, Vasseur has kind of said, nah, it's not going to happen. And now Toto Wolff, the boss of Mercedes, is kind of saying, nah, it's not going to happen. But let's have a look at what's been said here by Mr. Wolff, Herr Wolff himself. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Toto Wolff has aligned himself with Ferrari's Fred Vasseur to temper rising chatter about a V10 engine comeback in Formula 1. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali and FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem recently fueled talk of loud, naturally aspirated engines boosted by the sport's shift to 100% sustainable fuel. Red Bull's Christian Horner's on board as well. The pure racing fan in me would love to see a return to V10 engines if it were done responsibly and with sustainable fuel, he said. Vasseur hit the brakes though. We have not yet introduced the next generation of engines, and there are still huge issues on the table in this regard. We should focus on that first, the Ferrari boss said, eyeing 2026 hybrid heavy power units over 2030 or 2031 speculation. Wolff echoed the call, championing the upcoming rules. We are pushing the boundaries of battery technology, and in terms of sustainability, the 2026 engines is the first year that we're going to have 100% sustainable fuels, he said. Nobody knows what all this will lead to. F1 is a pioneer. All stakeholders should be happy about that and make sure the sport is seen as the high-tech sport that it should be. At the moment, I think that is a bit premature. He warned, we risk drowning out the message that we want to send to the world if a year before the new regulations we talk about something that will come much later. I see what he's saying. I see what he's saying there, but come on, man. V10s are cool, like they are. I mean, I had a video a little bit ago that I'm very proud of, that, you know, where I kind of went over the V10 era and said why it was good and why in some aspects it wasn't so good. And the best thing about the V10 engines were the V10 engines. The rest of the cars were a bit debatable in some aspects, such as the overall show and entertainment out on track, overtaking on track rather than in the pits. And, you know, I think if they do V10 engines right, it could be a very, very massive PR win for Formula 1 and could elevate it to an even more incredible spectacle. I mean, I heard it on the other day on the radio for Formula 1 for Sky Sports, and that radio advert had V10 engines in the background. We haven't raced with V10 engines in Formula 1 since 2006. Yes, I am counting the 2006 Toro Rosso, but the entire field was last V10 in 2005, 20 years ago, because I know some anoraks, somebody will definitely point that out to me, because I know that is the case. So it has been a very long time, and the fact that we're still using that is the note. When you think of a Formula 1 engine, you don't think of the turbo growl of the 2014 to 2025 engines. No, of course you don't. You think of a screaming V10 engine, or if you're old enough, a screaming V12 engine from back in those days, you know. So for me, I absolutely would love to see it, but I honestly do not see it happening for another 10 years probably, because in 2030 they need to go net zero. So they're going to have to prioritize everything in terms of efficiency and everything like that. And once they get that down, once that is reliable, then maybe they can look at V10s. But I'm not predicting it for at least another 10 years, I reckon. I reckon it's going to be that long. But while we've got sustainable fuels which are coming in next year, in theory, we could have something that is more naturally aspirated, something that is simpler, cheaper. You know, very key aspect to all this, the cost of it. But guys, what do you think? Do you want to see the V10s come back, or do you think they should remain a relic of the past? Firmly, I am in that prior camp rather than the latter one, but let's see what you have to say about this. So Honda, the unofficial, kind of official engine partner of Red Bull, the Red Bull powertrains these days, but Honda is still associated with them, and also heavily associated with Yuki Tsunoda, the Japanese driver, of course, heavily backed by Honda. But Honda are leaving next year in 2026. They are going to be the sole engine suppliers of Aston Martin, while Ford are going to be partnering with Red Bull to replace the Japanese giant. But let's talk about a little Japanese man. All 5'2" of Tsunoda. He is apparently, well, Honda is apparently predicting that he will know his fate quickly in 2025 for the following season in 2026. Of course, he starts this season as the most experienced second team driver in the history of Toro Rosso AlphaTauri Racing Bulls RB, as it's been known over the decades. This is his 5th season at the team. Will it be a 6th? Let's find out. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Yuki Tsunoda's fate will become clear very quickly this season, according to the boss of Honda's Formula 1 activities. Currently, Tsunoda is starting his 5th year at Red Bull's junior F1 team, having been overlooked for the promotion to become Max Verstappen's new teammate by Liam Lawson. Many believe part of the reason for the Red Bull Racing snub is because the team's works relationship with Honda is ending this year. The Japanese manufacturer is currently designing its all-new 2026 engine exclusively for Aston Martin. We are aiming for a homologation in February 2026, Ouest France newspaper quotes Honda's F1 project leader Tetsushi Kakuda as revealing this week. Since we started a little late, we want to push things back until the very last moment. It is difficult to say exactly what percentage of progress we have made, but I think we have reached an important milestone. Some believe Tsunoda is very unlikely to remain with the soon-to-be non-Honda affiliated Red Bull family beyond 2025, and that Honda will push for the 24-year-old Japanese driver to switch over to Aston Martin. However, Aston Martin have played down these rumours, insisting that both Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll are under contract already for 2026. He's in his 5th year in F1 and has plenty of experience, so I hope he can make the best choice, Koji Watanabe, president of Honda Racing Corporation, said this week when asked about Tsunoda. I think this is a very important season, and the seat for next year will probably be fixed quite quickly, so I hope he can seize on the timing and opportunity to take the next step. I believe he can do that, he added. But first and foremost, I want them all to achieve the best results this season. Yeah, what are those results going to be? Well, we know the livery for Racing Bulls is the best one on the grid. I think that's without a doubt, really. It's definitely one of the best anyway. I think it's fantastic. And seeing a Japanese driver, Tsunoda, driving an all-white Honda-powered car is very cool. I'll be honest, I do like that. I mean, for what it's worth, I can't see him getting promoted to Red Bull. I can't see Liam Lawson being axed after a season. I'd be shocked. I mean, this is Red Bull we're talking about, but I'd be shocked. And then you have to also look at the possibility of, someone coming up from Formula 2. Now, Isaac Hadjar, I think, is going to stay at Racing Bulls for next year. They tend to give their drivers 2 or 3 seasons to find their feet in Formula 1, so that'll be his 2nd season. I think he'll be fine. So then the 2nd seat, or the 1st seat, if you will, in a sense for the moment, is Tsunoda. Is he going to stay there, though? What are his other options? Well, when it comes to some driver coming up from F2 and replacing him, I don't really see anybody doing that anytime soon. There's likes of Pepe Marti and Arvin Lindblad, who's, they're good drivers, but are they ready for F1? I'd say no. Unless they absolutely hit the ground running early in 2025 for the Formula 2 season, if they win the first couple rounds or something like that. Unless that happens, I don't see any chance of Tsunoda being replaced by one of them. And I think Tsunoda's a damn good driver too. I think he's earned a promotion or another move to Aston Martin. I think he'd be great there. The Honda connection's there. Now, you're not going to get rid of Alonso. You're just not. So then it's Lance Stroll. Should Lance Stroll be replaced by Yuki Tsunoda? Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the right move. But you've got to think about the future as well. There's more to this than just 2026. Now, Lance Stroll is not going to go anywhere. He's not. It's either Aston Martin or nowhere. No one is going to offer him a Formula 1 seat. Simple as that. He's just not good enough. He's not good enough. And he's there because his dad's the team boss. Simple as that. That's what it is. He's not the most terrible driver ever in Formula 1 history, but given his experience, he should be a lot better than what he is. And I think Tsunoda would be a marked improvement upon him. I think most drivers would be, but Tsunoda, I really rate highly. I think he's a good driver. But it's also about the future as well. And Aston Martin might want to get Max Verstappen in 2027. I mean, Red Bull insist it's never going to happen. I'm not convinced though. I think there's a possibility of it. And then do you want Tsunoda and Verstappen in the team in 27? I don't know. Would that work? Would that work well? Would Stroll be better in a sense, less trouble? I don't know. Aston Martin have championship ambitions, and I don't think they'll ever win a championship in the constructors, at least with Lance Stroll at the wheel. They might well win one though, with Yuki Tsunoda being the second driver. I think he's good enough. I think it's good enough. But your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Is Tsunoda going to stay at Racing Bulls for 2026? Will he move on to Aston Martin, another team, or will he be ousted? Will he be out of the sport entirely? Your thoughts in the comments below. Oh, another day, another controversy to do with the FIA president. He has been threatened with legal action over the UMSC controversy. So what is that? Why is he being threatened with legal action? And what is likely to happen to Mohammed Ben Sulayem? Let's dive in, guys. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com as always. The FIA is plunging deeper into controversy as Motorsport UK chairman David Richards has issued a scathing open letter threatening legal action against the organisation and its embattled president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem. Richards, well known in the F1 paddock, describes it as an erosion of accountability and good governance, following a contentious recent World Motorsport Council meeting, WMSC, where he and the FIA Deputy President for Motorsport, Robert Reid, were barred from participating after refusing to sign a stringent non-disclosure agreement, NDA. The FIA claimed that NDA was a standard practice to protect confidentiality, but Richard's letter, published in Motorsport UK's online magazine, paints a starkly different picture. The final straw came when the president attempted to impose what amounted to a gagging order on WMSC members, backed by threats of immediate €50,000 fines for any breach, he wrote. He accused MBS of reneging on promises of transparency and hands-off leadership made during his 2021 election campaign, adding, over the last 3 years, there has been a distinct failure to meet these promises, with the situation progressively worsening. Richard's threat of legal action raises fresh doubts about the legitimacy of decisions made at the February meeting, including a new rule mandating a two-stop strategy for the 2025 Monaco Grand Prix. The unrest comes at a pivotal time for Ben Sulayem, who faces a potential challenge in the FIA presidential election scheduled for December. Rumours are intensifying that Susie Wolff, boss of the all-female F1 Academy series and wife of Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, may run against him. I hope she does. The speculation gained traction after the 1996 Formula 1 world champion Damon Hill publicly endorsed her, saying on Instagram that she would be perfect for the role. Wolff's potential candidacy follows a bitter clash with Ben Sulayem in 2023 when he launched a short-lived conflict of interest probe into her and her husband, a move she branded as intimidatory and misogynistic, before filing a criminal complaint against the FIA in France. Italian magazine Auto Sprint has also suggested the investigation was a preemptive strike by Ben Sulayem, aware of Wolff's rumoured presidential ambitions. An FIA spokesman dismissed the latest uproar, insisting the NDA was overwhelmingly supported by others. However, Richard's letter suggests a broader revolt may be brewing, with Motorsport UK boss lamenting an exodus of senior members and volunteer officials under Ben Sulayem's reign. Yes, there are a lot that kind of criticise Ben Sulayem and say that he's basically purging the FIA and filling it with people who are yes men and yes women who will just do what he says when he says it, and anybody who has any kind of dissent is axed. The likes of Niels Vittich allegedly being one of those, of course, and there have been a lot. People have been sacked via text. There's been all kinds of controversies around Mohammed Ben Sulayem, and this is just the latest one, really. And the thing is, as well, we're never going to know what was on that NDA. We are never going to know. We won't be able to see a screenshot of it because guess what? It's an NDA. You can't disclose it. So we don't actually know. And without knowing, I think it's very difficult to form too much of an opinion about it. But given the controversies in the FA over the past few months, and I mean, it's been bad for a bit. This past 12 months, it's intensified to the nth degree. It has absolutely exemplified what it was before in the worst possible way. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I don't know if that's the case, and I want to make that abundantly clear. I have nothing to back that up other than the words of two people going against each other. But given the previous form of the FIA president, I would assume that there is a credence for this to be accurate. But that's my thoughts on it, guys. A lot of big words there. I have to kind of skirt around it in a way. I have to be careful what I say on stuff like this because, yeah, unfortunately, we are all susceptible to this kind of thing at the end of the day when it comes to legal action. So you got to be careful. But you guys in the comments, say what you want. Unleash yourselves on there. I want to hear what you have to say about this. So, double McLaren Formula 1 World Champion Mika Hakkinen has unsurprisingly tipped one of the drivers from his former team to win the Drivers' World Championship this season, and that is Lando Norris, the guy who finished runner-up last season. Surprisingly, though, and I think we might know why this is as we read this article out here on the F1Chronicle.com. Dr. Helmut Marko, who was of course the senior advisor to the Red Bull Racing Organisation, has not backed Max Verstappen to win the 2025 World Champion, saying that Lando Norris is actually the favourite right now after pre-season testing. Let's have a look at this guy's full article here as always. Dr. Helmut Marko has delivered a candid verdict on Formula One's 2025 pecking order after Bahrain's pre-season test. Lando Norris is in front. Behind him is Max Verstappen. Then it's Ferrari and Mercedes. The Red Bull advisor told Auto Bild. Two-time champion Mika Hakkinen aligns with the paddock buzz, backing McLaren's Norris for Melbourne. I think Lando is ready to win, he told Corriere dello Sport. The question is what lessons he learned in the title fight last year. Making mistakes is no shame, but speed alone is not enough to win. Just look at Max. He won last year even though the development of his car was not good. Hakkinen predicts a title final dance under the current rules. I could spend a whole day explaining why one driver could prevail over the other, he said. For reigning quadruple champion Verstappen, the mental game looms large. It really won't be easy for him to win mentally, Hakkinen explained. From the outside you can see the races, the tests, the interviews, but outside the spotlight of a lot of the work is also required. You also need to know how to deal with the pressure and the criticism. Yet he salutes Verstappen's grit. Max knows what is needed and he delivers, and if I see a comparison with myself, Verstappen also has to deliver in a Formula 1 era that is full of talent. From Lewis Hamilton to Norris, from George Russell to Leclerc, Max Verstappen deserves a lot of respect for that. Yeah, I mean, there's some fantastic drivers in the field. Let's not get that twisted. And there's also fantastic cars as well. And I think it's going to be a very close title fight. I'm really looking forward to it. From a variance point of view, personally, I wouldn't like to see Verstappen win a 5th in a row. But at the end of the day, if he wins a 5th in a row, he deserves it, you know. I would say, and I said this numerous times last year, I think last year was his most impressive title because, like Hakkinen says there, he did that title win without having the fastest car for half the season, if not even longer, to be honest. I think that deserves massive credit, and you know, there's a real argument to say that he is not only one of the GOATs, but also the fastest driver on the grid right now. I mean, we've undoubtedly got at least one more GOAT on the grid in the form of Sir Lewis Hamilton, and you can maybe throw Alonso into that conversation too. But at the end of the day, you're only as good as your car in Formula 1. You know, if Red Bull haven't produced a good car, then Verstappen will struggle. I think they have produced a good car. I personally put them second overall in my pecking order, but I did put McLaren top after testing. I do think McLaren probably have the fastest car on the balance of things, but we're not going to know until qualifying at Melbourne. Simple as that. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Who is the favourite for the 2025 Formula 1 World Championship? Is it Norris? Is it Verstappen? Is it someone else? I want to hear what you have to say. Money is the root to the evilest ways, and in Sin City, money can take you very far, but you need a lot of it to go very far indeed. But the owner of F1 is apparently very disappointed with the finances around the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Of course, we've been there in 23 and 24, and we're going to be there for a little while yet. Las Vegas is one of the few races that is actually organised and run by Formula One itself, rather than a local auto club or some kind of sponsor like that. F1 do it themselves, so they keep all the money themselves. So maybe they're not too happy with the ticket receipts or whatever. But let's have a look. Let's find out, guys. Full article on the F1chronicle.com as always. Formula One owner Liberty Media has admitted it is disappointed about the financial numbers coming out of its crown jewel event, the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Don't ever call it the crown jewel. That is Monaco, and it should always be Monaco. Overall, the sport's popularity is surging, with Sky Deutschland boasting about soaring numbers in exciting new mainstream demographics. We have more than doubled the numbers in the target group of 14 to 29-year-olds. Sports editor-in-chief Alexander Rosner told SID News Agency, and we now have 3 times as many female viewers. However, Liberty Media's stock price actually fell by over 5% in the last period, which Chief National Financial Officer Brian Wendling attributes solely to the Las Vegas Grand Prix. We can't comment on the specifics, he said, but the majority of the miss that you guys are calculating based on the team payment was Las Vegas related. Liberty Media's new CEO Derek Chang agrees. I think we are all disappointed here by some of the financial metrics in the early going here, he said. Las Vegas joined the F1 calendar in 2023 in a highly unique event for F1, as it is actually promoted by Liberty Media, with the paddock and pit lane sitting on land the sport's commercial rights holder owns itself. CEO Chang says the race has so far missed international expectation on revenue, but explains that executives have already enacted changes that will benefit 2025 and support a financially successful race for F1. We now have 2 years of real data to understand what prices and products sold well, the demographics of the fan base and the overall cost structure of the event, he added. We have a clear handle on near-term priorities for Vegas to improve, and we are confident in the value that it provides. Wendling said the biggest problem for the event last year was slow ticket sales after Liberty Media set prices at high levels never before seen in F1 history. He also admitted that there have been softness in certain hospitality offerings. F1 CEO Stefano De Domenicali says the sport remains committed to its Vegas project. As I have always said, this is an incredible Grand Prix in which to help. We need to keep working and make sure that we stay, as we believe, at the top of the range, says the Italian. We need to make sure that we focus our attention on the cost structure and the situation we have to manage here in Vegas. We also have to have an even better local relationship, because that's the key to the success. Yeah, the locals absolutely hate it for the most part. Business owners are not a fan of it. A lot of people in Las Vegas are not liking it. And, you know, it's never the quietest place is Vegas. So that tells you something about the disruption that it causes for that one weekend a year. I mean, yeah, for me, the ticket prices are obscene, and it's never going to be that commercially, you know, successful, because it's going to cost a lot to close down the strip for that. And in terms of the viewing figures and things like that, again, it's not a big surprise. I mean, you look at where people watch Formula One from. The Las Vegas Grand Prix is on early Sunday morning for us here in Europe. In the UK, it was on at 6. Central Europe, it's on at 7. Eastern Europe at 8 in the morning, which a lot of people aren't up at that time, especially on a Sunday morning. So that's a lot of your audience gone. I think for Australia, it's actually not too bad, but the market overall in Oz is not the biggest at the end of the day. And ironically, for people in the US, it's difficult as well, because it's 10 p.m. local time in Las Vegas, I think, when it starts. And is Vegas on the Pacific time? I think they're 8 hours. Yeah, they are. They are 8 hours behind the UK. So those on the East Coast in the US are 5 hours behind. So it's 1 a.m. start time for them. People in the central area, Texas and a lot of the Midwest, it's on at 1 a.m. Something 1 a.m. midnight sort of time. So yeah, for me, it's never going to be a big success with that start time. But how do you get it on when it's not at that start time? Because it's on the city streets of Las Vegas. So yeah, for me, it's a very tough one. It's a vanity project. It's an event that F1 loves because they promote it themselves, but no one can afford to go there. No average Formula One fan can afford to go there, unfortunately. It is an event for the rich and famous, and it's a glamour event. And, you know, that used to be Monaco. Monaco now is not that crazy compared to places like this. Miami's almost as bad, in fact. So, yeah, Your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Will the Las Vegas Grand Prix be something that is there for the sustainable future of F1, or is it just going to continue to be a financial not success, surprisingly, despite the ticket prices being so high, and just a bit of a vanity project for Formula 1? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always. Have a great weekend ahead, guys. And yeah, it's almost race week. Australian Grand Prix is on the way. Cannot wait.